Jasmine Crockett may have thought she was untouchable, but Kash Patel just flipped the entire narrative on its head. What went down wasn't just a political clash, it was a calculated takedown, and Patel came armed with receipts, facts, and a level of precision that left no room for doubt. This wasn't your average back and forth. This was a career-cracking exposé, and Jasmine Crockett might never recover. Let's rewind. Jasmine Crockett, a rising figure in the Democratic Party, has been making headlines lately, not for her legislative wins, but for her sharp tongue and headline-grabbing soundbites. Some say she's bold, unfiltered, and passionate. Others say she's reckless, divisive, and more focused on social media fame than serving her constituents. But until now, most of her critics have been brushed off, until Kash Patel entered the chat. Patel, former chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense under Trump and a key figure in various high-profile investigations, decided enough was enough. In a recent interview that's now gone viral, Patel didn't just criticize Crockett, he dismantled her, piece by piece. And he didn't rely on opinions. He brought evidence, he brought documentation, he brought the kind of hard truth that makes silence deafening. According to Patel, Crockett has been leveraging her position more for personal brand building than actual governance. He pointed out her voting record, highlighting inconsistencies and what he claims are deliberate moves to please party elites rather than serve the people who put her in office. Patel even referenced specific bills she supported, or conveniently ignored, calling her out for what he described as performative politics over substance. But he didn't stop there. Patel exposed Crockett's past legal and financial issues that have conveniently been kept out of the mainstream spotlight. Allegations of misused campaign funds, questionable business ties, and even links to organizations that raised eyebrows among ethics watchdogs. These weren't just rumors. Patel cited open records, filings, and interviews that painted a much darker picture than Crockett's carefully curated public persona. Then came the real knockout. Patel brought up communications that allegedly show Crockett coordinating with activist groups to script her public responses and talking points. If true, this reveals a highly manufactured image designed to appeal to certain audiences while masking her real political intentions. Patel claimed this was a betrayal of transparency, and worse, a betrayal of trust. In the aftermath, Jasmine Crockett has remained mostly silent, with her team issuing a brief statement dismissing Patel's claims as political theater. But when you actually look at the documents, when you listen to Patel laying out his case, this doesn't feel like theater. It feels like the beginning of the end for someone who thought the cameras would always love her. Social media exploded after the interview dropped. Hashtags like #Crockett exposed and #Patel unleashed started trending within hours. Political commentators across the spectrum, yes, even some on the left, have admitted that the evidence Patel presented deserves a serious look. This isn't just partisan mudslinging. This could lead to ethics investigations, donor backlash, and even pressure from within her own party to step down. And here's where it gets even more intense. Patel hinted this may only be the beginning. He stated that more documents, more emails, and even more damning evidence could be released in the coming weeks. If that's true, Crockett isn't just in hot water, she's in free fall. Now, supporters of Jasmine Crockett are rallying behind her, calling this a political hit job orchestrated by the right. But even they're struggling to refute the hard evidence presented. It's no longer about left versus right, it's about truth versus spin. And right now, the truth looks brutally inconvenient for Jasmine Crockett. The question now isn't just whether Crockett can survive this scandal, but whether she should. If Patel's claims hold up under scrutiny, and if more damaging info comes to light, we could be looking at a full-blown resignation, or worse, formal investigations that could stain her career permanently. In politics, image is everything. But when the facts come out, even the best PR team can't save you. Jasmine Crockett built her brand on being unapologetic and bold, but when boldness crosses into deception, when public trust is shattered, and when political theater turns into documented reality, there's only so far charisma can take you. So what's next? Will Crockett come forward and address these claims head-on? Or will she continue to stay silent, hoping the news cycle moves on? One thing's for sure, Kash Patel isn't backing down. And if what he's promised is true, we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. And while Crockett's silence might be a strategy, it's not one that's working well right now. In the world of politics, silence often screams louder than words, especially when you're accused of manipulation, financial missteps, and misleading the very people who voted you into power. Kash Patel didn't just toss around accusations, he dared the media to ignore it. He challenged the mainstream networks to do their job, to investigate, to fact-check, to confront the uncomfortable truth instead of burying it beneath partisan agendas. And surprisingly, some outlets are beginning to listen. Independent journalists have picked up the trail. A few key podcasts and political YouTubers are now digging into the documents Patel shared, and the deeper they dig, the uglier it gets. One particular revelation Patel dropped, that Crockett allegedly funneled donor money to a shell entity for consulting fees, has the potential to ignite a formal ethics probe. If proven true, that's not just political carelessness, that's potential fraud, a career ender, maybe even a criminal matter. This isn't just bad optics, it's the kind of story that brings down rising stars. And yet, while all this unfolds, Jasmine Crockett remains oddly calm, almost as if she knows something we don't. Or maybe, just maybe, she knows there's no easy way to spin this. She built her brand on confrontation, on being the loudest voice in the room. But now that room is filled with whispers, questions, and a growing demand for accountability. Let's not forget, this isn't Patel's first rodeo. He's not some random critic lobbing accusations from the sidelines. He's been deep inside. The machinery of government, intelligence, and law. He understands the rules, and he knows how to hit where it hurts. Whether you love him or hate him, there's no denying Patel is making waves. And when a high-profile Democrat like Jasmine Crockett becomes the focus of those waves, the political landscape shifts. Allies grow distant. Funders get nervous. Party leaders start whispering about damage control. The whole foundation starts to shake. Meanwhile, voters are watching closely. Some who once praised Crockett for speaking truth to power are now asking whether she was ever truly about the truth or just about the spotlight. Trust, once broken, is hard to earn back. And in the unforgiving arena of politics, sometimes you don't get a second chance. So where does this end? Patel says there's more to come. He hinted at leaked emails, internal communications, even audio recordings. If any of that comes to light, and if it corroborates what he's already presented, then Jasmine Crockett may not just lose her influence. She might lose everything she's worked to build. For now, all eyes are on Crockett. Will she defend herself? Will she confront Patel directly? Or will she hope the storm passes and the headlines fade? One thing is certain, the damage is done. Her reputation has taken a massive hit. And thanks to Kash Patel's relentless takedown, the public is now seeing a version of Jasmine Crockett they were never supposed to see. Whether this ends in resignation, a formal investigation, or a long, slow political fade-out, one thing is crystal clear. Kash Patel has changed the game, and Jasmine Crockett's career may never be the same again. And just when people thought it couldn't get worse, new whispers have started circulating. Insiders are now talking. Former staffers, local political contacts, even disgruntled allies from within her own party have begun to speak out, not publicly yet, but quietly behind the scenes. And according to Patel, some of them are ready to come forward. He claims multiple individuals have reached out with their own stories, emails, texts, internal messages that could prove Crockett has been playing a long game of deception. If even a fraction of that is true, this shifts from scandal to collapse, because when your own people start flipping, that's when the narrative completely breaks apart. Patel also mentioned connections between Crockett and several activist groups accused of misreporting their financial activity, groups that helped fund her rise and amplify her image online. If Crockett knowingly aligned herself with organizations involved in shady dealings, the fallout won't stop at her. It could ripple outward, damaging everyone tied to her politically. The question becomes, why would someone with such a promising future risk it all? Was it ambition, arrogance, or did she think she was untouchable? Patel doesn't pretend to know her motives, but he made it clear. This isn't personal. It's about accountability. And if exposing uncomfortable truths means destroying a career built on smoke and mirrors, then so be it. That, Patel says, is the cost of integrity in politics. And as this drama unfolds, Crockett's base is beginning to fracture. A few defenders are doubling down, but many are going quiet. Some are even deleting past tweets, distancing themselves from what's quickly becoming a PR nightmare. You can feel the tension building, like something big is about to drop. Like, there's one more bombshell waiting in the wings. And make no mistake, Patel seems ready. He's not backing down. If anything, he's just getting started. In his words, the truth has no expiration date. And when that truth is backed by documentation, data, and insider testimony, it becomes a weapon. One that can take down even the loudest voices in the room. Jasmine Crockett, once hailed as a bold rising star, now finds herself at the center of a political firestorm she may not survive. Her silence is deafening, her team's deflection is crumbling, and the facts, as laid out by Kash Patel, are too detailed to ignore. So what happens next? Investigations may be launched, political allies may jump ship, voters may demand answers. And if more information surfaces, if more proof lands in the public's hands, Crockett's days in office could be numbered. This is no longer about party lines or ideological battles. This is about truth, transparency, and whether those in power are willing to be held accountable, and in this case, it looks like the truth is catching up fast. As always, we'll keep watching. Because when it comes to politics, power, and exposure, the fallout is never just about one person. It's about the system they helped shape, the people they convinced, and the trail they leave behind. Jasmine Crockett thought the spotlight would protect her. But today that spotlight is turned into a heat lamp, and the cracks are starting to show. And now, in the aftermath of Patel's revelations, the pressure is building. Not just from political opponents, but from the very base that once stood behind Crockett so fiercely. You can see it all over social media. The influencers who once praised her boldness are going quiet. The verified accounts that reposted her speeches have stopped sharing her content, and some are even scrubbing old endorsements, trying to disappear any trace of their former support. Because that's what happens when a political figure goes from rising star to national controversy. The same people who cheer you on the way up won't hesitate to walk away when the fall begins, especially when it's backed by hard evidence. What's even more damaging? The mainstream media can't ignore it anymore. They tried at first, brushing it off as another partisan attack. But the receipts Patel dropped are too detailed, too well-sourced, and too damning to dismiss. Now, outlets across the board are being forced to cover it, even reluctantly. And with every article, every headline, every viral clip, the walls close, in a little more. And Patel, he's just feeding the fire. He's showing up on interviews, dropping more hints, waving documents, offering to testify if needed. He's not just exposing Crockett, he's making her a symbol of what he calls the rot within the system. And when you're turned into a symbol, you lose your ability to control the narrative. You become a target. Now let's talk strategy. Crockett has two paths forward. One, come out swinging, deny everything, and go into full attack mode. But that comes with a risk. If she says even one thing that doesn't line up with the evidence, it's game over. The second option? Lay low, weather the storm, and hope the public moves on. But here's the truth. Storms like this don't just pass. Not when they're this big. Not when they're this loud. And not when the guy stirring it up, Kash Patel, says he's sitting on even more. Sources close to Patel claim he's working with a team to verify every piece of evidence before dropping the next wave. And if that next wave is even half as devastating as what we've already seen, then Crockett's political career won't just be in jeopardy, it'll be over. Because this isn't just a scandal, it's a dismantling. And the pace, the precision, the public appetite for truth. It's all snowballing out of her control. Behind the scenes, you can bet party leaders are panicking. No one wants to be tied to a scandal this public, this messy, and this undeniable. Whispers of replacing her in the next primary are already starting to surface. Even longtime allies are quietly preparing exit strategies. Because in politics, survival comes first, and loyalty dies fast. So what's left? A shattered reputation, a growing list of unanswered questions, and a public waiting to see if Jasmine Crockett will finally face the music or get swept away by it. This is the reckoning, not just for one politician, but for the machine that elevated her. And Kash Patel, love him or hate him, has made sure everyone is watching.